Clutch hitting on the road, quality innings from the bullpen. It's going to be the recipe for success against the Texas A&M Aggies.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton, and on today's episode, we're going to talk baseball. It's all Vandyboys here. We're going to preview the Aggies. Connor Hamilton throws a complete game gem that helps the bullpen for this weekend. That's huge for a midweek game against Belmont, and obviously, what momentum can they gain from thrashing Belmont 11-3 in the midweek game leading up to a Thursday through Saturday series on the road in College Station. We're going to talk about that all right here on Locked On Vandy. So let's start there. The Vandyboys thrash Belmont 11-3. And again, what's more important and what's more, I guess, more valuable from this game is that Connor Hamilton threw the complete game. And for Connor Hamilton, being able to do that helps this bullpen rest, because when you have a 16-inning game, you go extras on Friday, you go walk-off on Sunday against the Vols, all three games ending in a walk-off actually, you deplete your roster, and you already have injuries, you already have some things with your pitching staff that's not good. So for him to be able to throw all 9 innings, he only allowed 7 hits, 3 runs. He struck out 11, and you get all of that. You get a quality start, and you get your bullpen a night where they don't have to throw, and they can rest, and they can get ready for this series, because against Texas A&M, it's going to take everything that they got. So that's probably the best thing that happened to Vanderbilt's baseball team. And I think Connor Hamilton could, with all the injuries, could find his way into a weekend rotation spot. Not this weekend, obviously, but he could roll into maybe a third game Sunday, Saturday starting rotation spot. You know, Wyatt Nadeau and Connor Fennell have the Friday, Saturday spot, or game 1, game 2 slot for the weekend series. But I think you're still up in the air about where that other spot is. And you throw a complete game with 11 strikeouts, you might have earned yourself a chance to start on the weekends moving forward. Now, this weekend, obviously, it won't happen, and he may be available for a long relief, which will be extremely valuable for that. But this right here is one of the reasons why I think, you know, if you can get quality innings from your starters, if you can use fewer pitchers and still get good results, like Tyler Baird, he and Nick Schulte, those two guys this weekend threw, I think, 10 innings apiece, and got really good quality outings from both of those guys. It allowed Vanderbilt to push through and push ahead of Tennessee. So, you know, when you're trying to figure out a struggling pitching situation, that is the best thing that you can do, is you have guys that can throw complete games like that can get quality starts so that you can figure out where you're at, rest your arms, and do all that. Now, as far as a hitting perspective, I mean, you've got Riker Waite, I think, had a really nice game for Vanderbilt. I mean, he's been struggling a little bit. He was 2 for 2 against Belmont. He had 2 hits, and he had multiple hits. A lot. He's really good defensively from the shortstop position. He went on a 1 for 18 streak against LSU, Indiana, and Mississippi State. Like, he was in a bad slump. He's turning the corner a little bit. He's somebody that I would watch out for offensively, of course. Got to find a way to get Tommy Gooden in the game. I mean, that guy is unbelievable. And he's somebody that hits the baseball really well. And I think there's got to be somewhere for Tommy Gooden. And it's I don't know where that is. I don't know where that lives, but I mean, there's plenty of good options hitting wise. I mean, Braden Holcomb, Rustin Rigdon is doing well. Chris Maldonado's hitting well. So it's hard to throw good in at first, because Maldonado's hitting well. Mike Mancini is another one. Tommy Gooden maybe as a DH. I think that's a good option there. But I mean, this team is, outside of a few ups and downs hitting wise, which you're going to get anyway, especially in a league that features a lot of great pitching. You have a lot of good bats there that can, if they can not panic, if they can, adjust their approach at the plate, I think you're in really good shape. I mean, Logan Johnstone, had a RBI double last night. I mean, he had some big hits. You have, Charlie Davis, Kevin McMeans. You have some other guys. Rustin Rigdon had a ground rule double. Mike Mancini. All those guys are hitting well. And that's something that you just coming off the Tennessee series where you were kind of up and down hitting wise, but you got the job done. And the best thing about the Tennessee series is you got it done in the clutch. And the best thing about this midweek game against Belmont is that you were able to do it in a way that everyone knew you were going to be exhausted from a big weekend against Tennessee. Like, everybody knew that. Everybody knew that you were going to be potentially one of those letdown games where it's either too close for comfort or even Belmont pushes ahead. That didn't happen. Vanderbilt was hyper-focused. They got the job done. Connor Hamilton threw a gem. So what does that mean for this weekend? I'm going to talk to you about that. We're going to do it next. We're going to preview the series against the Aggies, and we're going to do that next. It's Locked On Vandy. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the games. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play-by-play, you decide. So trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps involve significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. It's tax season, and just like I think, it's a lot. Doing taxes is a lot, the old way especially. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app right there on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. So head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Workplace chaos, deadlines, stacking up, old emails, all of that. And the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. So spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. And when you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. So just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed right here on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Make sure you join the Everydayer Club. Promo code MARCH to get your first month free. LockedOnVandy.supercast.com. If you want ad-free audio, if you want access to our members-only Discord, go to this website. It's linked down below in the show notes. So make sure you just click on that link, join for more information, all that good stuff. Hey, let's join in on this journey with me. Everydayers Club. Now, Vandyboys have an important series this weekend on the road against the Aggies. Now, they're on a roll right now. They've won 4 in a row. They settled in, had a complete game where he struck out over 10 with Connor Hamilton. Got a really nice quality start. Your bullpen got saved for a little bit. And I think when you look at the importance of this series, yeah, the opponent is definitely important. It's A&M. They're ranked. They're right there in the pack with everybody in the conference. Like, this is probably the most competitive the SEC's been in a long time, as far as all the teams that are contending and all that good stuff, and all the teams that are so closely wound together as far as talent. So this series is important for a lot of reasons. One, you have to show that this Tennessee series was not a fluke. It was not a home series against a rival and you just played above your head and won, right? You have to show that that's not the case. And to do that, it's going to take your bullpen standing on its head again. Your bullpen has to show what it theoretically figured out against Tennessee. Despite the injuries, you got a lot of quality innings, especially on the Saturday game in the 16-inning whatever you want to call that, in the 16-inning thriller. And that's got to come through this weekend. And that's probably going to be the most vital part, because your pitching staff is so depleted with injury. You don't have the volume of arms. So you need to find where the quality lies, and you need to lean on that. Also, with starting pitching, you have to get quality innings from your starters. You have to get them to go deeper into games. I think Tim Corbin's going to start to push that. I think that's going to be a necessity. And their starting pitchers, they should be able to handle that. Hitting-wise, I think, and this is going to kind of weave in with my next point, hitting-wise and playing on the road, they're 1-8 on the road in conference. It's brutal. The vast difference in them playing at home versus them playing on the road, it's just so staggering. Like, they go on the road and it feels like they go brain dead at the plate. It feels like they just disappear when there's runners in scoring position at the plate. It seems like they're just throwing BP in the bullpen on the road. Like, it just seems like everything falls apart, and I'm not sure what that is. Yes, these are tough environments. Texas A&M is probably one of the tougher ones, because they do the when a pitcher's struggling, they do the ball, 4 ball, 4 ball, 7 balls. They do that. They have those chants where they get in your head. Like, they have a really good crowd. And so that's a tough environment to begin with, even if you're good. Winning on the road in the SEC is tough when you don't have all these problems that sprout up. But for Vandy, I think with the approach, like, you have to take the same approach at the plate. Starting pitching-wise, you need quality innings. And again, it's going to take all those things blending together. And this is before we even talk about anything Texas A&M is throwing up there. It's all based on just making sure you get guys out, making sure you get guys across the plate when you get them in scoring position, because I think your opportunities are probably not going to be as plentiful. And if you squander them, that's going to be detrimental to success. If you get swept, that's going to put you way behind the 8 ball. And the goal, I think, for this team is to be peaking at the right time, which the right time is peaking going into regional play. I think last year, even though this team won the SEC tournament, you could say they peaked. But they weren't coming into the SEC tournament. Yeah, they got hot, but there was a lot of red flags and there was a lot of holes there. They just started playing above their head, and then they came down to a crashing halt when those things get magnified. On the road, those things get magnified. Your red flags get magnified. Your ability to keep guys off base by offering free passes, like walking batters, has been a problem for Vanderbilt's pitching staff, right? And that gets guys around. So you have to kind of figure that out. And they have some really good hitters that you're going to have to try to navigate through in the lineup, and that's going to be troublesome, right? This is a good lineup. This is a good pitching staff on the other side. This is a home environment for them. I think it's gotten to a point in the SEC where if you can win one and give yourself a chance at winning the series, I think that's like the baseline of what you can ask for. Like, I think that's the worst case scenario you need to leave whatever trip you're on. In this case, Texas A&M. Like, you need to leave College Station with at least one win and with a chance to win the series on Saturday. And if they beat you, they beat you. But it needs to be a competitive game where you had legitimate chances, not what happened at Mississippi State, where you lose the first game and then you just kind of fall apart the rest of the weekend and get run ruled on Sunday. Like, that can't happen. That's going to kill any momentum you already have, and that's going to that will theoretically probably send Vandy into a spiral that they may or may not be able to recover from at that point. So this series is very, very important for that reason. Now, on Texas A&M side, this is where it gets tricky because they're coming off. I mean, they're on a roll, dude, and they beat the crap out of Sam Houston State. They had a sweep of Missouri, which I don't know what that tells you because Missouri is just not very good at baseball. So I don't know what that tells you, but anytime you sweep somebody in this league, that's impressive. There were 7 sweeps in the SEC last weekend. Vanderbilt sweeping Tennessee, A&M sweeping Missouri. But I think they're just playing really good connected baseball. And I think there's a few names that stand out to me with the Aggies, and Caden Sorrell is one of them. And he is, he's hitting 371 on the season. He had a 3-run homer last weekend. He just drives in a whole bunch of runs. I mean, he has a lot of pop. And so when you're pitching to him, you have to kind of understand that if you leave one out over the plate, it's probably going to go 405 feet and into oblivion, right? He is, I think he's a guy that's very, very dangerous at the plate. So you have to kind of game plan around that, right? And Gavin Gravick, he's coming off of an injury from last season. He's got the next best batting average, right? He's an outfielder, and he's somebody that, again, just a lot of angst, I guess, or a lot of whatever you want to call it, chip on his shoulder type thing from being injured last year. He's making up for lost time. He's a big dude there. He's a slugger as well, man. He's got the second best. He's got the second best batting average on the team. He drove in a bunch of runs this weekend as well, and he's just somebody that is, again, he's got a 347 batting average, and he's driven in 31 runs this season for the Aggies. So those two guys, I think when you're going through their lineup, like, their whole lineup's good. They can hit, but these guys are really dangerous, and these are two guys that really stand out to me just because of how well they're able to drive the baseball, how well they're able to drive in runs without necessarily hitting home runs. So they're not like power hitters where it's like feast or famine. These guys know how to drive the ball into the gaps. These guys know how to clear the bases. I feel like when guys are on base, these guys come up, there's going to be some runs scored. And that's something this pitching staff has got to understand, and you got to understand and set them up and try to figure out what pitches get them out. You have to get them behind in the count early and get them chasing, which is a tall order. And I probably mispronounced Gavin Gravick's name, but I think that's what it is. And Chris Hykopian, I think, is again, when you look at from a lineup perspective, he's a 353 hitter, and he's somebody. He's got second best batting average on the team. He's somebody that has over a 1 OPS. He's got a 569 slugging percentage. He gets a 468 on base percentage. I mean, the guy's a great hitter. He came over from Maryland, but he's a guy. He bats cleanup. And again, he's somebody that he's probably a little bit more feast or famine. He's probably a little bit less consistent than Caden Sorrell, but he's the guy that he's probably got the most power potential in this lineup, and he's somebody that I think when you watch him play, you've got to be careful, man. And he can, I mean, you leave one out again, he's going to send it. He's going to hit it all the way up to Dallas, and he's just going to hit the ball a mile if you leave one out of the plate. So the important thing for this is when you're scouting their lineup, when you're pitching to this roster and you're pitching to this lineup that has so much power, so much pop, and also not only home run power but extra base power as well, which is valuable because you're not going to hit home runs all the time. And if you live and die by the long ball, you're probably going to mostly die on that because it's just such an inconsistent thing. It's such a fleeting thing that if you're reliant on home runs, it's troublesome. I think that's why Ole Miss is struggling because they just play gorilla ball basically. They just, boom, 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 right? They just knock it out of the yard. And when they're doing that, they're good. When they're not, they're pretty bad. A&M, I don't think is that way. A&M is pretty consistent. They're a team that's going to this is a tough task. But I think all in all, and I'll leave you with this, the way I see this series going, I think it's going to be 1-1 coming into Saturday, which is the rubber match. I think Vandy can steal one. I think Nadeau he's pitching really, really well, and I think he's due for a really nice outing where the bats help him out, and he can just go and he can just get the win. He'll go 7-8 innings, get the win, and I think he's somebody that's talented enough to be able to get through this lineup. And it may be like a 10-8 baseball game, like where there's just a lot of runs scored. Like I think in order to beat the Aggies, you're gonna have to outscore them in a high scoring type game. Like you're just gonna have to keep pace with them. I think that's just kind of how they beat you. I don't think if you're gonna beat the Aggies, there's no pitchers duels happening. And because I just said that means Friday or Saturday is going to be a pitcher's duel. But in all seriousness, you have to score runs. You have to drive in people when they get in scoring positions. If you don't, Texas A&M can push that lead out there and it can get away from you quickly. So I think it's going to be 1-1 coming into Sunday, or actually Saturday. And with Vanderbilt's pitching staff in flux, I'm not overly confident they can win the series. This is such a great lineup on the road, but I think if they could give themselves a chance, I think that's going to be able to keep their momentum well enough to be able to kind of push them along through the season. A sweep means you're in big, big trouble of losing the season. If you can somehow complete a sweep on the other end, that would launch you into a stratosphere that we all thought you were going to be in anyway, and a stratosphere that the Vandyboys are used to being in historically. So there are a lot of different outcomes can come from this series against the Aggies. All of it very important, and all of it it'll give us a kind of really good picture of what to expect the rest of the way. I think this will help set up how Vanderbilt plays the rest of the season for the most part. I think we're going to get a lot of answers. The Tennessee series answered the question of, is this team resilient enough to play week in and week out? That question got answered. They are resilient enough, but can they do it on the road now? That's the next question. Can they take what happened against Tennessee? Can they put that on the road? We'll be able to answer that this weekend. So it's going to be an exciting series, so stay tuned for that. Man, I'm glad that we found and there's a potential starter down the road with Connor Hamilton. So very exciting. But this is Locked On Vandy. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff at Locked On Vandy, anywhere you can find your podcast, and on social media as well. Join the Everydayers Club while you're at it. And until next time, anchor down. Peace.